This presentation aims to show you some ideas on how you can set up displays, both big ones and small ones, with or without racks. You don't have to have loads of expensive paraphernalia to set up an attractive display. So starting off with a typical display at a big event like a teachers' convention. This is the Palliser Teachers' Convention. This is a standard 10 by 10 trade booth. It has back drapes, and this is a corner booth. I like corner booths because they give you more flexibility of design and they give you a really good inviting display whatever direction you approach the booth from. We have found that having an outward-facing table along one edge seems to work extremely well. People will stop and flick through the books on there, and then larger amounts of stock, the surplus stock, are stored in cubes where they're still accessible and easy to get at. We've also made use of a Canadian Tire TV table, again something that folds flat, is very light to transport and gives you a little bit of extra space. You could use it for perhaps your drawer box or whatever. This was a little experiment that we did at a Calgary meeting once to set up an attractive display on a 6-foot table, which is what you'll commonly get at things like trade shows and craft markets and so on. Notice that there's no expensive banner on this table. There's a tablecloth. That's always a good investment because you can hide a whole load of messy stuff and your purse and lunch and all that sort of thing underneath the table and still have it look neat, as long as you've got a tablecloth going right down to the ground. And then instead of a banner, I've simply printed off the Usborne logo on a twice letter size sheet, what's it, 11 by 18, and then I've got it laminated and it's quite simply stuck on or pinned on, I can't remember, onto the front of the tablecloth. It does the job. I have used one of the 6-tier table racks on this table. Now those things are no longer being manufactured, but you can often pick one up second-hand from a retiring Usborne consultant. There are a good number of them in circulation. I've also used a crate on its side to act as a sort of bookcasey element on one side. Now we'll look at some more refinements on this. This is a crate. This is the standard unit of measurement in terms of books. So if somebody says, how many books should I have for an exhibit, I would tend to say, 3 or 4 crates or whatever. This is a crate. I think that on average it's between $400 and $500 worth of books in a crate of that size. These are wonderfully useful things. I use them all the time for display, for carrying things to exhibits and then using them as part of my display. Here you can see the crates stood on their sides to form a little wall of books, like a bookcase. It's an excellent way of storing extra stock at an exhibit that you haven't got the space to put out on tables and so on. On top I've laid some hardboard, and that gives me another horizontal surface for display. The racks, the 2-tier racks that I've used on top are unfortunately not available anymore either. Again, you might get some second hand, but you can also use those little, like the plate holder, the easel things. Those would work up there as well to give you a nice vertical element to draw people into the display. Don't let your drawer box be an afterthought shoved away in an out-of-the-way corner of your booth. It should be really prominently displayed because you want people to be filling in those drawer slips, because that's where your leads come from. This is a Perspex drawer box from Staples, costs about 45 bucks, I think. No, it's not cheap, but I've used it for years and I really like it. The fact that you can see the drawer slips inside seems to invite people to fill in their own slips and enter. You'll see I've also got a little box that holds pens and bookmarks and again business cards. It all just helps everything look neat and put together. This is another way of making good use of space. You can buy these little plastic boxes at the dollar store, and you can use them to put in all of the small books like readers. People will flip through those and take a look and see what titles are behind. You can see what a small footprint they take up. They're really a great idea and very economical as well. Now these I picked up again at the dollar store. The dollar store is a brilliant place for finding display stuff. That flyer would be better off if it were mounted on card, because you can see it's got bent by the paperclip thingy. But again, a great way of displaying your flyers and kit specials and so on, and very inexpensive. These are another dollar store find. Some of the dollar stores have workbooks and colouring books and activity books that are displayed in these cardboard stands, and they recycle them once they've sold the books out of them. So if you go in and ask nicely, you can get these for free. So with a little bit of glue and coloured paper, you can turn them into this, and you can see what nice little display stands they make, and again with a very small footprint of space on your table. Here you see some of these elements coming together in a display. You can see that Perspex drawer box on the table at the back. I've got the little plastic crates with reading books in. There's the paperclip stand showing, you can see it takes up so little space you can put it right in the middle of your display. And you'll notice a lot of the books are laying flat. There's some weird psychological thing goes on with customers. They are often reluctant to pick up books off stands. I don't know whether they're worried about spoiling your pretty display or what, but it's noticeable that if books are laying flat, they will start flicking them open and browsing through them, and will handle them far more freely. Here's our 6-foot table display. This particular display does not use any racks whatsoever. It's using one of the plastic storage crates on its side, acting as a bookcase element. On top of the crate is the cheap alternative to the Perspex drawer boxes. It's just a gift bag from the dollar store with prize draw printed on it. So that's your drawer bag. All of the rest of those books are just stacked up against cardboard boxes to give a little bit more height to the display. There's a plastic crate with some readers in, and there's my cheapo banner substitute, the photocopied Usborne logo, on the front to identify the stall. Yes, if you look here, you can see there's just a cardboard box there. You could make that look a bit spiffier by having another tablecloth or some sort of thing, cloth to drape over it and hide the cardboard box. But you've got books leaned up against the cardboard boxes, you've got books standing on top of them. I think that at least one or two of them are on those little easel things to make them stand up, and then we've got a bunch of things laid flat in front. It's okay to have a few books leaning up like this with spines out. People will see those and they will pick them up. That is the laminated logo. Here's another way of setting up a corner booth with a table across the open end, the open corner of the booth. I don't use this display format as much. These days I do prefer to have a table across one of the open ends with the books facing outwards, as you saw in a previous slide. And that's another, I don't like this one as much, but I think it's partly the colours that the exhibit have put out. I don't like the blue and the white somehow, and the white tablecloth. It doesn't show off the books very well. But again, you can see all of the familiar elements that I've talked about. And another one, this is the Calgary Mums and Tots Fair, and this is a 5 by 10 booth. Most of these professional booths are 10 by 10, and that's what you've seen in the other display booths. This is a 5 by 10, and you can still manage to do it. Those little plastic crates are worth their weight in gold. There they are, doing their duty, holding our surplus stock. And finally, an outdoor event. This is our booth at the Calgary Mardi Gras Street Festival. The only new element you'll spot in this is the canopy, which is a 10 by 10 awning from Costco and worth its weight in gold. So I hope this presentation's given you some ideas and shown you that you can set up a good display without investing in a lot of infrastructure. Just use a bit of imagination and visit the dollar store and you'll be just fine.